Alright, so I asked all of you what the most important thing was on the next generation iPhone line, and within about 30 minutes I pretty much got the gist of it. But all the same answers kept coming and coming and coming, so I'll be breaking them down for you today so that hopefully when Apple watches this video, inevitably, because I know you're watching, Tim, you can know what to prioritize on the next gen iPhones. Let's begin. So of course we all have lots of different requests and demands for next generation phones because we all use our phones very differently, but basically all of the requests were dumbed down into three things. For one, slow fees. Everyone wants higher quality slow motion selfies. For two, 6G, because gigabit speeds with 5G is just too slow. So everyone wants terabit speeds with 6G cellular connectivity. And number three, people want to remove the Lightning port in favor of headphone jack charging, just like the iPod Shuffle, so that you can use your headphones with this port, but also charge the phone with this port. Sorry, I'm still joking. Getting into the realness, I can break down all of your guys' actual requests and all the most important things into three main ones. Now, I didn't get all scientific with it of like tallying up your votes and figuring out which ones are the most popular. I didn't have time to do that. Oh, who am I kidding? I totally have time to do that. I just didn't want to because I am lazy. But after reading countless replies from everyone on Twitter, I have to say the three biggest ones in order of the ones that I seem to read the most was a ProMotion display, something either 90 hertz or 120 hertz. People want a higher refresh rate display, and this is something that OnePlus definitely has the advantage over. While the company may hate wireless charging, they definitely have the higher refresh rate display business down. Also, phones like the Asus ROG 2 have 120 hertz on OLED, which I think does put the standard up high since so many people love the ProMotion display on the iPad Pro, though it is an LCD, so you can't get the inky blacks you're used to. Now that we know ProMotion display is possible on an OLED panel, people are going to be expecting it on the 2020 iPhone, Apple, so you better be working on it. And by the way, today's video is not based on any kind of leaks. This is all just what people are asking for. Anyway, the second most common response I got was USB-C. People are sick of the Lightning connector, and this is one I do happen to agree with. For the consistency between the MacBook Pro, the iPad Pro, and overall just other smartphones out there, wouldn't it be nice if both iPhones and Androids had the exact same charge port and we could end this bickering of the Android charger versus iPhone charger? Lightning was great for the time it came around in, but believe it or not, yeah, that's a very important feature for the 2020 iPhone. There were a lot of you guys that just straight out said USB-C. Just add that to the Pro Max. I'm done. Perfect phone. You don't need to change anything else. So far we got ProMotion, USB-C, and the third one that I saw most commonly was do something about that notch. I'm pretty sure that means everyone wants it to be thicker. How can we make the notch closer to the unmatched Pixel 3 XL? Because that was the most beautiful notch. Everyone loved it. I don't think anyone had a problem with it. I believe the Pope was tweeting about how much he loved the 3 XL notch. So if they could bring that to the iPhone, I think #1 selling smartphone right there. No, obviously we all want it smaller. Okay, we get it. And that kind of goes into a lot of the other requests people had. Obviously, you guys requested a lot more than just these three things. Those were the most common ones, but the third one with the smaller notch was definitely something that kind of ties in with another common response I saw, which was a design change. I think this is rightful, as the design of the front of the iPhone at least has not really changed for the past 3 years, ever since 2017, and we've had that 5.8-inch iPhone 10. It's a good design, it sold really, really well, and people are happy with it, but people get bored of the same design, especially when they're spending so much money on phones, that a good way to get people to upgrade if you don't have a lot of functional features to add are definitely the aesthetic differences. Now, this is something we actually have some leaks to back up. Ming-Chi Kuo has detailed that the next generation iPhone could very possibly have a more iPhone 4-esque design with more squared edges, which was also something I saw quite a few people bringing up in the replies. You want it to look different because you're tired of holding the same thing. I kind of disagree with that. Like, I'm okay with design changes and stuff, but personally, I also have the mentality of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I'm very okay with my Pro Max, like, edge design thing. I know we're all used to the curved corners and it's been that way for so long, but I feel like it's been that way for so long because it's very comfortable. Like, it feels nice in the hand. I have held Galaxies and OnePlus phones that had very sharp edges that I wasn't a fan of, especially when your phone and your operating system depends so much on gestures. Swiping up from the bottom a lot, having that curved edge glass and curved stainless steel makes gestures a lot easier to do, because I turned on gestures on my OnePlus 7 Pro, and that has a very sharp edge, kind of all the way around, and gestures gestures just didn't feel as fluid. But based on what Kuo was telling us, he's saying the glass could still curve on the edge a little bit, so I don't quite believe the reports that it's going to be completely squared off, like the sharpest design you can possibly imagine, which a lot of people say they want, but I feel like if they actually held it and started using it, especially with the amount of gestures we use now, they probably wouldn't like it as much. Back in iPhone 4 days, where we had home buttons and big bezels, yeah, a squared off design didn't really matter too much. But nowadays, with bezels shrinking so much, and we also know that the next gen iPhones are going to have possibly thinner bezels than before because there's a 6.7 inch display next year, biggest iPhone screen yet, and a much smaller one at 5.4 inches, which I understand a lot of you guys don't like that idea, but that means there's pretty good evidence that bezels are going to be getting even thinner than they are right now, and with a sharp edge, I feel like it wouldn't be comfortable in the hand as good as it looks because it's different and we all want change. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. It's still going to curve a little bit, but also have those squared off sides. But that's a leak. That's not something I can change Apple's mind on. They're probably already working on the production lines for it. I'm just trying to tell Apple in today's video what things most people are asking for, at least in my community. Obviously, the average consumer is probably going to care about different things. I understand I'm tweeting to a tech-based audience, so the perspective is probably skewed. But at least in our little tech community, Apple, if you want to make a solid phone next year, this is how you do it. Do something over 60 hertz. I mean, a lot of people said, no, it can't be 90 hertz. It has to be 120, which I find hilarious because I am very confident that even if Apple made a 90 hertz display and told everyone it was 120, no one would know the difference because it takes a very, very trained eye to see the difference between 90 and 120, especially if you don't have something to compare it to. Usually the only way you can tell a difference between those two refresh rates is if you present 120 right next to 90, then maybe you can see the difference, but human eye has a very hard time seeing it. So Apple, just go all the way with 120 hertz, add USB-C, and shrink the notch in some way. I think a very easy way to do it is just raise the earpiece in between the glass and the stainless steel, then it's out of the way, you can crunch those sensors together, still have the great reliable Face ID, hopefully have it work from more angles though, but it seems like 2020 may be the year a lot of people want to have higher refresh rate displays, so I gotta say that really does sound like a tech community complaint. It's not something I hear everyday consumers complaining about. That's more of a battery life problem, which I feel like the Pro and Pro Max fixed a lot of. So if you can add the higher refresh rate display while retaining the same battery life we currently have, then I say win-win, and you could probably charge a little bit more for that phone and people would be willing to pay for it. But if the higher refresh rate display comes at a compromise of the battery performance, I think people aren't going to be as happy about it. But knowing Apple with the iPad line, I think it's possible that they can add the ProMotion display while keeping the battery life the same, because the iPad Pro, which was the first iPad to have ProMotion, did not come at a lower battery life than before. It could still get 10 hours. So hopefully using the new A14 chip, we'll be able to have very good power efficiency and sustain that 120 hertz unless you're doing something, of course, that doesn't require it. And it can work at all brightness levels. Google! I'm trying not to talk about that anymore. I'm sick of talking about the Pixel 4, by the way. So moving on, there are a few other things you should probably be aware of for the next gen iPhone. There were a couple of you out there that were like, I want 5G. And I'm like, listen, I was asking the most important thing. Really? Out of all things you want out of your phone, it's gigabit. I want to be able to go to one block in Chicago and download Stranger Things in 2 seconds. That's the most important thing on the next iPhone. Okay. Well, as excited as you get about 5G, the bigger noticeable difference is that in 2020, Apple will be moving to Qualcomm-made modems, which should mean that cellular performance will be getting better nonetheless. Even if you happen to live on the 99% of the Earth that doesn't have 5G, connectivity should still be pretty good. Also, the entire lineup should be getting OLED. I didn't really see a lot of people requesting features for the iPhone 11 successor, most likely going to be called iPhone 12. Leaks have told us so far that they want to go to a complete OLED lineup, so probably thinner bezels on that design, though I think that could come at a price. It might get more expensive next year. And personally, I think the ProMotion display should probably only be for the Pro models because everyday consumers do not give a crap about the refresh rate. Trust me, I've tried. When I first got the iPad Pro with its ProMotion display, I was like, I'm gonna show this to everyone! And I ran around the house and I showed my friends and I showed my family the difference, and I asked them if they could see the buttery refresh rate. None of them could, unless they were somewhat tech-oriented. If they were just average, everyday consumers, they were like, oh, okay, the screen, yeah, it's a screen. It's a little smoother, I guess. I don't know. They don't care, okay? As much as a big deal as we make about it on the tech community space, it doesn't make a difference to the everyday person. So make sure that the affordable iPhone just has a great great battery life, looks good, has a 60 hertz display, that's fine. And then the pros, you can satisfy them by USB-C, higher refresh rate, and we'll call it a day. Sad news is, though, you should probably expect next year's iPhones to get more expensive than this year's. There's an import tariff that's going into effect. That's going to hurt Apple's revenue there, and it's already rumored that this new squared-off design you guys asked for so much is likely going to be more expensive in the manufacturing process. So, congratulations, you got what you wanted, except it'll cost you. So if there's other big features you want to see on the next-gen iPhone, feel free to let me know what they are by hitting me up over on Twitter or joining our Discord. You notice I don't say type in the comments anymore? It's because I leave those for the memesters. All the people commenting down there don't even watch the video. They just want to do the "no one drew blank" meme. So just leave all the memesters down there. Let them have their fun. I get the watch time while the video's playing anyway. If you want a serious conversation, you know, elsewhere. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.